Anyway, so the short answer is I am recording this, and maybe we'll post it at some point in video form, or maybe we won't. I don't know. I haven't posted the Horse Girl watch along, so I'm just accumulating video, but it might be
because
fun.
I stuffed my face with.
I think that tots. I ate your tots because my food didn't come.
Oh yeah, and then I got more tots.
And then you got more tots, and I got ramen. Anyway,
tots like
we had so
tots.
much food.
Yeah, we had lots of food. I feel like it's endearing that we were eating while watching TV, personally. Yeah. But yeah, I do plan to post the Horse Girl watch along eventually if I can figure out how to get it up on YouTube without it being taken down. So lesson learned. Don't have the audio from the film playing while you're watching it. I mean, but I don't know how you watch the movie without the audio. I don't know. I guess we could. Sure, we could have some headphones. I need to get some wireless headphones or something.
I want a picture of like you drinking that way and me drinking this way.
Oh, well, my recording has you on the left and me on the right if you want to. And Ina's on the bottom.
I couldn't because I can't take a picture and drink at the same time. It's fine.
You got a thumbnail up there.
Sarah, I want to say, and we talked about this before we started recording. I love that it looks like you're on an episode of Project Runway, and that you also have the dick art from Dick Pic Professional. Your production design tonight is fantastic, as opposed to the shithole you see behind me right now. Listeners, if you're listening,
tape on my wall. Sorry,
I've been wondering what that is every time we zoom. It does. It looks a bit like stars.
So I bought this like fairy lights, and I was trying to make it pretty. So I figured I'll put some blue tape on it.
Yeah,
until I decide on the shape, and then I'll actually glue it on my wall.
Yeah,
that was 3 weeks ago.
Well, we've got time. What else are we going to do? Listeners, if you're hearing us, we are in quarantine, but still podcasting, and now Zooming. We're Zooming.
Zoom podcast.
We're Zoom podcasting.
Zooming right through the quarantine.
We're zooming through quarantine.
Stop.
Fair.
So now this is the part of the Zoom where we all comment on what everyone's homes look like. That's a standard part of every Zoom conversation.
And we're all wearing pants, hopefully.
Maybe. You don't know. I was seated when you came in here. Ina's wearing pants. Sarah's wearing pants. I'm not showing you. Maybe I'm not wearing pants.
Well, you're downstairs in your house with your 3 kids, and you should be wearing pants.
I should be. They're not wearing pants, so why should I be wearing pants?
That's true.
That's.
I don't think anybody's been wearing pants in the last 3 weeks, to be honest.
I haven't been wearing pants that have buttons in like 6 weeks.
I lecture in jeans so that I feel like a grown-up because I'm still lecturing. And after that, I immediately transitioned to my night pants, my yoga pants.
Your night
pants.
My night pants. Welcome to the Feminine Mistake Podcast, a podcast about women in film, I guess. Is that what this is? We watch your favorite films or films you've never heard of or films maybe you liked in 2014 and they're now on Netflix. And we're all stuck in the house, so we're going to watch them. And then we talk about the way women are portrayed in them. And I'm one of your hosts, Nicole.
I'm your other host, Sarah.
And we'd like to welcome to the show writer, improviser. Please introduce yourself, our special guest.
Hi, I'm Ina. I guess I'm a writer and improviser.
You are. Well, that's
title.
You know what? I'm just telling it like it is. Welcome to the show, Ina. Thank you for being our socially distant guest on the show this month.
Our first socially distant guest.
I'm very excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here too. Oh, stop it. So before we get into the movie this month, which is Ex Machina, what's everybody been doing in quarantine?
Working full time.
Oh yeah, that sucks. You're essential, so you've been leaving your house.
Yeah.
How's that going? What's it like out there in the world?
Well, I've been taking my dog to work with me every day. So whenever people stress me out, I just pet her and it gets a little better.
That's right. You got a dog, a quarantine dog.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your quarantine dog. What happened?
Very sweet. So my boyfriend and I were driving up the road to pick up food. I think it was last Saturday. And we see a little puppy. She's like 6 pounds. She's tiny.
Oh, yeah. She's super small.
Weaving in between cars. And no one was stopping and no one was trying to help. So we started driving after her. And after a long chase, like a surprisingly long chase, we finally caught her and we took her to the vet, and there was no chip and no collar. So we decided we're going to keep her.
So you got a quarantine puppy.
And her name?
Yes. Her name is Little Bean.
Little Bean. So cute.
So cute.
And I love her, and she's getting a lot better.
Yeah. Well, that's not a bad way to spend quarantine.
Yeah.
How about you, Sarah? How have you been spending quarantine?
I've been writing most of the time. Well, okay, so I have a job. I have a full-time job, so I work from home. I'm in my office right now. I know it doesn't look like an office, but
it looks fabulous.
In front, right here, is my big giant screen where I work. And when I'm off work, I write, and that's pretty much it. I
mean, you've written like thousands of words since this thing started, right?
Yes. That's so good.
Memoir, your essays, memoir, what are we calling it?
Essays, memoirs. Yeah.
Excuse me. That LaCroix is.
It's been fun.
I'm so glad. I you know what? I admire your work ethic with the write. I should be writing. I feel like if now should be the time where I am producing all kinds of writing, and yet that is absolutely not what's happening. I can't seem to get myself to sit down and write a goddamn thing.
I feel like being productive. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's so hard to be productive. Like I've been drawing, but I haven't written a word.
Yeah, I've thought about writing. I've done a lot of thinking about writing. I've been revising something I already wrote, which I guess is writing. It's a part of the process. But I've been thinking about. I've been taking walks. I take my daily depression walk, or my daily depression nap. Today was a nap. Sometimes it's a walk. And I think about writing, but I am not actually doing a whole lot of writing of new things.
So last year I didn't write hardly at all. I think I wrote like one sketch and I completed a draft of something I'd written the year before. And that was pretty much it. I didn't journal. I didn't do any writing at all. And so I feel like maybe you guys are in consumption modes.
I'm definitely consuming. I'm consuming a lot of snacks. I am consuming I have a lot of blankets on my bed right now. I
mean, like TV shows, films, podcasts, books, fanfic.
Yes, my fanfic habit is out of control. I am also listening to a lot of podcasts, but books. I've been listening to some books on Audible. We've been watching a lot of movies. Our friend Ava has been organizing these movie nights on Friday night, which is like the highlight of my week, where she streams a movie and we all watch it.
Oh yeah, it's about time. Yeah. I'm gonna head out. So
right, because they're watching Hansel and Gretel tonight without us. But we watched Cats. You were there for Cats, right, Ina? Oof, it was not the butthole. It was not the butthole cut.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I could have handled the butthole cut, to be honest.
I just saw an interview with Seth Rogen and talking about the buttholes, because he was live tweeting it.
Yes.
And he said right after that, and the special effects guy that was like working on that movie told him about the butthole thing.
Yes.
I thought it was a joke until now.
Go to the page. So Ava has made a Facebook page for the movie nights, and there's like at some point I posted a trailer. So I don't think it's the butthole cut. I'm glad we're spending some time on this because I think it's culturally relevant. Somebody did go and take the trailer and put buttholes in the trailer, so you can see what perhaps might have been had they released the actual.
But they don't have like an actual butthole cut where like.
Oh no, there's a butthole cut.
No, what I'm saying is, did they finish the entire film with buttholes and then watch it and go, let's take all these out?
Yes.
So, yes.
Yeah, that's actually, Ina, you heard the interview. You tell us.
Sorry, that's what Seth was saying. That the special effects guy was like, we finished the movie, we're about to release it, and really close to releasing it. Everyone realized, oh wait, maybe it's not a good idea to have buttholes, and they had to go and erase every single butthole.
All the buttholes. Funny. Can you imagine? I would be like, this job sucks.
Okay,
why am I? What is wrong with me?
To put the buttholes in the first place, and then whose idea was it that they needed to come out right before they were about to release it? I want to know.
Was it the same person? Was it different people? Who knows? Do you think it was like the director's wife? He's like, look, I just want to show you the final cut before we released it. I'm really proud of it. And she leaned over and she was like, Yeah, you're going to need to get rid of all those buttholes.
or perhaps the producer's kid. Kids are very
and the kids are like, look at all those cat buttholes. I recommend, Ina, that you check out the trailer that somebody made with the buttholes. It's upsetting, to say the least.
I saw that, but I thought someone made it as a joke, and I thought the whole thing was like a gag. Wouldn't that be funny?
I mean, isn't the whole movie a gag, really? I mean, it was legitimately a terrible film. Buttholes or no, it was just like 10 kinds of awful.
Short too. It felt like it was like half an hour.
It felt like it lasted 3 or 4 days for me.
Just saying, I was just like swept up and like
I can't tell you what it's about. I have no idea.
That's because there's no plot. There's no plot. There's no plot. But the musical's like that too. So I mean, I don't know what they were thinking.
About how it was a great story, like it was a great show.
Well, Hillary likes the musical. She does, and a lot of people do. It's I don't understand. It seems like a series of disconnected songs to me, which is really what it is. But I mean, I think
and they're cats. Can we? I just don't. Even if they're on stage,
look, I love cats. Like
cats.
Well, why couldn't they just dress up as cats? Why did you have to do the weird CGI nonsense? Is what I'm wondering. Just let them be cats
with the boobs.
Like, the smooth boobs. I didn't like that. Boobs. And cats don't have boobs.
They don't.
So that was weird.
Ina's face.
I don't I don't understand how so many people were involved in this project and no one went, hey, this is a mistake.
I feel like multiple people probably did, but when you're working on a film and you're like, this is legit terrible, but I hope they keep paying me, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and erase all these buttholes.
Yeah, that's fair. It probably was good pay.
One of the things that I found interesting about Cats was that the director didn't make anyone wear motion capture suits, which is why the CGI is so bad. So, usually when you have a CGI character, they will have to wear a mocap suit with all the dots on it, right?
Right.
So the director didn't want that. Again, this is what I think I heard this on a podcast. The director did not want them to wear the motion capture suits. So that's why it took them so long to do it, and why they had to do it over and over again, and why it looks so fucking weird is because the visual effects people were like, what the fuck am I keying out? Like, where am I putting the cat body? And also they had to do rotoscope everything by hand because they didn't have the motion capture suit to like track it properly.
Why?
I don't know. Is the guy who did Les Mis, right? The Les Mis musical? I don't know.
Les Mis was good.
Yeah.
There was an actual plot. It wasn't scary or creepy to watch. It didn't give me nightmares.
Did you have nightmares about cats?
Yes.
I had trouble looking at my cat the same way after.
It was,
to be honest,
so odd. Also, seeing so many people kill their career was painful.
I know. It was like a lot of death, career death happening at once.
They didn't actually kill their careers, though. It just,
it was just like, I mean, some of them, people like Rebel, I'm like, I'm not a fan anyway, so I didn't care. But some actors were like actual good actors, and it was like
Ian McKellen and Judi Dench.
Ian McKellen made that shit tolerable in the time that he was on screen somehow. Idris Elba deserved better. That's all that I'm gonna say about that. I don't know why he got. There's some people that need to fire their agents for even getting involved in this shit. So we definitely watched it. We watched that. We watched The Hunt, which was kind of terrible. We watched Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep, yeah.
Which I thought was quite good. A lot of people saying, I had heard when Dr. Sleep came out, which by the way was filmed in Georgia, conceivably could have been done on the George Made podcast, but we never got that far. Mm-hmm. Dr. Sleep, I heard, was not great, but I don't know what the problem people had with it was. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a good follow-up. I mean, there's no way to make The Shining again. It was such a weird movie. There's no way. So if you're not going into it expecting The Shining, you're just expecting a nice follow-up. I thought it was quite good. I enjoyed it.
But it definitely did point out how Stanley Kubrick did make magic. Like there was something about the original Shining that was like you can't touch that.
Sure, but also I thought this movie did a good job of rolling in the book with the movie, which is something The Shining movie is more like inspired by the book than it is about the book, I would say. And this movie did a good job. I think there were moments where it was like a little too much, where I was like, okay, like get your foot out of Stanley Kubrick's ass and just like, make this movie yourself. And there were a couple moments where I thought it was a little much with the homage, but like once the movie got going, it was actually very good, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Ewan McGregor, and we got to see his butt.
Ewan
McGregor's butt. Yes. It was in a really gross scene at the beginning when he's like, I don't want to even think about it. I have nightmares about the scene at the beginning with the woman and the baby. But you do get to see his butt, and I will remember that and burn it into my memory. So there's that. I will always have that together. Me and his butt.
You and his butt.
Me and his butt. I'm so sorry. Quarantine is so thirsty, guys. I did not expect this.
It is.
Like, I did not.
It is so thirsty. I have nothing but sexual fantasies for this entire time, like all day.
That's why I'm reading fanfic constantly, Sarah. That's why.
But like my own personal like sexual history replaying in my head and fantasies of what I want to do to whoever and what I want them to do to me. And it's just like,
I feel like when you see shows like The Walking Dead or any movies or shows about the apocalypse or any kind of pandemic, they really fail to capture the thirstiness.
Yeah.
Of a situation like this. And so I was just I was surprised by how thirsty quarantine is.
Because like you both are quarantined with people who you can have sex with. So like,
that's true.
Why are you thirsty? Like you can get it anytime you want it. Maybe.
Well, you want to take that one?
Well,
I mean,
first of all,
kids, Nicole, but
yeah, I don't have kids, but we both work and we're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the end of the day. So, but I mean, we have been more active. I sound like an old lady.
I will say we've been more active. We occasionally brush hands while standing by the
activities.
I've shown him my ankle a few times.
My wrist.
You don't have to answer that question, Nicole, if it's too personal.
No, listen. Here's the thing. I'm stuck in my house. There's nothing to do. I'm lonely and bored. And I need something that keeps my mind off of this fucking situation that we're in. And I didn't mean to say that. That sounds weird. I need something to keep my mind off the situation. And I think I found a pretty good way to keep myself occupied. That's all I can say about that.
Yep.
So anyway, shall we talk about this movie?
Yes.
All right. So today, before we get into the film, which this month we're talking about, the 2014, didn't realize it had been out that long. It's been 6 years since this movie came out. 2014 film Ex Machina, written and directed by Alex Garland. So before we get into that, I would just want to go around the group and get everybody's, what was your experience with this film? Have you ever seen it before? Had you heard of it before? Let's start with our guest, Ina.
Never heard of it. Never seen it. I don't really like robot this kind of film, so I went into it a little negative and I was not disappointed. It was awful.
Okay, great. Right out of the gate, shots fired. So Ina, never heard of it, came in clean, fresh, and
barely made it
through. Sarah, how about you?
So I saw this when it first came out. I loved it, thought it was so great. Saw it again maybe like 7 months ago.
That's very specific.
Well, yeah, because it was in my last relationship.
Oh, shit, sorry.
And I didn't like it as much because it didn't blow me away as much as it did the first time. Like the first time it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And this next time it was like, okay. And then I just watched it again today and I feel like I'm in between.
Okay. Interesting.
Being like amazing and being like, me.
Okay.
It was like,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So not so good on the three-peat for you. Neutral territory.
Neutral.
First of all, I'd like to say that I did not realize this until today, but this is actually the second film we've done this season about robot-human love relationships. since we did Making Mr. Right.
Making Mr. Right
was our February film. So I'm now wondering, has this become a thesis? Is this a thesis on android human sexual relationships that we're doing here?
Both films, Nicole.
I
so
did.
I would ask you that.
What's going on with me?
Are you robot thirsty?
Am I robot thirsty? Am I thirsty for a robot? Maybe. Apparently. I too saw this film not in the theater, but like when it came out, when it was released on streaming or whatever. Chris and I watched it, and I thought it was fucking amazing, and I stand by that. I unapologetically love this movie, and I'm looking forward to getting into it. I know Ina hated it, and I'm very interested. It's okay. I think it's best when we all have different opinions. I think that works out nicely. So anyway, I've seen this before. Love Oscar Isaac. I think this was my first exposure to, I actually watched a video of him pronouncing his name because I wanted to make sure I got it right. Domhnall Gleeson, the actor Domhnall, that's how you say it, Domhnall Gleeson.
Domhnall.
Yeah. There's a video, he's Irish. There's a video of him telling people how to pronounce it because he was asked. Anyway, he plays Caleb. I think this was actually, no, that's not true because he was in Harry Potter. So that was my first exposure to him playing Charlie, the guy with the dragons. What the fuck? Charlie. Why can't I remember this? Weasley. Charlie Weasley. He played Charlie Weasley in the Harry Potter films. Your nerd card. Thank you. I know I'm not really as much of a Harry Potter nerd as I am a Star Wars nerd. So I'm sorry out there, fellow nerds. My mind went blank for a second there. I like both of those actors. I had never seen the other actress as well, Alicia Vikander, either. But I think I don't remember why we watched this movie other than Chris loves sci-fi, and I love sci-fi depending on the film. So, but anyway. Let's get into talking about this movie.
Few days, you're going to be the human component in the Turing test.
One day the AIs are going to look back on us the same way we look at fossils.
Hello.
How do you feel about her?
Oh man, she's amazing.
You're impressed?
Yes.
Do you want to be my friend?
Of course.
Now the question is, how does she feel about you?
Do you think about me when we aren't together?
Did you give her sexuality as a diversion tactic?
This is your insecurity talking. This is not your intellect.
Lie.
Did you know that I was brought here to test you?
No.
Does Ava actually like you? Or is she pretending to like you?
Nathan isn't your friend. You're wrong.
Wrong about what?
Everything. Do you want to be with me?
Can we talk about the lies you've been spinning me?
What lies? What lies?
You have to help me.
You have to help me.
What will happen to me if I fail your test?
Okay, 2014 Ex Machina. It seems like you got something out of the gate, Ina, that you're itching to say. So let's dive right into it.
I was just gonna say that I hate sci-fi, so maybe that was the issue with me.
Well, I look forward to watching all the Star Wars films with you eventually. Yes, what do you hate about sci-fi, Ina? Tell us. Sound off.
I like biographies and I like documentaries and things that are like completely far out there. I have a hard time relating
to robots,
futuristic things. But on the other hand, my favorite movie is The Fifth Element. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
That's a classic, you know?
It is a classic. Okay. Fair enough. Like there are just certain genres people don't like. I'm not a fan of war movies, mostly because I don't enjoy the reality of of death and suffering.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
So I have trouble with that.
I also don't like sci-fi for the most part. There are exceptions. Like I think this is an exception. I think Star Wars is an exception. Westworld.
Yes,
like
Westworld.
If it's like something my dad always says.
I need good characters.
Yeah, so
I need good characters.
Something my dad says when I say like, oh, I don't like westerns or I don't like sci-fi.
I don't like westerns. I actually hate westerns.
Well, he always says it's not a western. It's about characters. It's not about the western stuff. It's about the character. It's not about sci-fi. It's about the characters. And so I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I need my wild out there shit grounded in something. Like I need it grounded in reality. So that's I think except for Star Wars because I just unabashedly love it. And Ina, given that how much you hate sci-fi, I look forward to watching all the Star Wars movies with you. It's over. Excuse me, I had to burp again. All right, well let's dive in here. So I've written down my 10 things. I know we're supposed to write down 5 things, but I've written down 10. I have a list of things I'd like to talk about, and Ina does too. Ina, do you want to go first? Usually the guest doesn't. We don't require the guest to write down any notes, but Ina very diligently wrote down some notes. So I think we should. What would you like to talk about first? I'd like to leave the ending closer to the end. So other than that, I think everything else is on the table.
So my notes are very specific. They were just like thoughts I had during certain scenes, but they're all like snarky comments.
Let's use it as a launching pad.
Okay. So I pretty much first we see an office, blah blah blah. All that happens. My first note is when he gets to the house.
Yes.
And he has a picture taken of him.
Yes.
And he gets blinded.
Yes.
And I wrote something snarky about gets blinded by the door, then walks in like he wasn't blinded.
Oh, okay. So you wanted him to be a little more blinded.
Yeah, he seemed to like the flesh seemed to blind and just walking around like nothing happened.
I see.
But I'm being very like picky.
That's okay. I think that it's good to put this film under a microscope. I guess that didn't bother me too much. I think it's a good place to talk about his introduction to this island place. By the way, I just want to say the setting, I don't know where they filmed this, but it was like so lush and gorgeous. Like it hurts me how much money it must have cost to shoot that, but it was gorgeous and beautiful.
Yeah.
The setting. Also, it made me think of how fucking weird rich people are, because it's honestly not a stretch for me to think that there's some rich asshole out there with a bunker and a bunch of sex robots living out in a pristine glacial wilderness.
Multiple assholes like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
I mean, that felt wholly believable to me.
Yeah. I did like that moment when the door closes behind him. They left that shot on for a long enough time where it made you feel tense. And then the door closed on its own. So it felt like an introduction to it introduced like the thriller kind of aspect to the film.
Certainly. Yeah. And I think the, there's something like, there's something very threatening about the house. Like God, I just want to get into so many of these things. Like, I feel like there's so much God, is it too early for me to talk about my whacked out theories? Is it too early to talk about? All right. So I'll just hold on to that. But I have so many thoughts about the house and what it means. I feel like there's like a lot there.
But I think we need to tell more about
let's talk about maybe one of the things I would like to talk. So while we're talking about, as I wrote him down, little baby Donald Gleason, because he looks like a little baby in this movie to me.
I love him.
Oh my God. I want to talk. So let's talk about Caleb. How do we feel about Caleb?
I want to marry Caleb. Caleb is my type. Caleb, the grammar type, the like sensitive, nerdy, smart, adorable. That's
So you buy into him. You feel he's very sympathetic to you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Caleb, the character, Ina? Honestly, it's okay.
Like, can I say anything positive?
You don't have to say anything positive.
Yeah.
Say your true feelings.
He went real fast from this is a robot to I'm in love.
He did. Which I thought was for that robot very quickly. Real fast. I will agree.
But I believed it because he did seem like a sad, lonely, like hasn't had a girlfriend in a long time or ever.
Yeah, but she's a robot. I feel like you
But
have
she
to go
was-
through some kind of a journey before you fall in love with this is a machine and I want to live with it and love it.
Ina, she put a cardigan on.
She put a cardigan on.
did.
Put on a
And
cardigan.
No, you don't like. If that had
It
been
was
a
very
man,
fast.
if I had been as thirsty as he was, and if
He
that
was
had been
thirsty, Ina.
and if
It
that
was-
had been a man robot, I would have done the same thing.
Okay, I think that Sarah brings up a very important point, which is right now we're all in quarantine. We're all experiencing the thirstiness of quarantine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Caleb is in his own form of quarantine.
Yeah.
He's in this bunker. He's trapped there with Nathan, who is a goddamn piece of work, that guy.
Yeah.
And the only soft, kind thing he has in this quarantine is Ava the robot. And so, given the thirstiness of my own quarantine experience, I totally buy it. I'd be in love with a robot in a week.
I would too.
Ina's like, no. Ina's like, no.
Just the
Absolutely
way
not.
that she talks to him. She's the actress is just very like the way she portrays the character is very compelling, and you are kind of like drawn
Yes, she is. Absolutely. Also, let's keep in mind that Nathan designed her based on what would be appealing
that's
to
true.
Caleb.
Yeah.
On his
Based
porn
on
search
his
history.
porn history, which is so
Yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Also
So
terrifying to know someone has access to that.
well, so Nathan has hacked all of the phones using
Right.
his search engine, which is not at the time I thought that sounded fucking insane in 2014, but it's not
It is
crazy at all
not.
now.
Oh, totally
Well, it
plausible.
Yeah.
probably wasn't even crazy back then. We just didn't know.
We didn't know that they had already done that.
I'm
Yeah.
sure Google does that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
and
no,
that's
they've got
what
data on all of us.
Blue Book is essentially
Yeah.
the fictional
Bas-
Google.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so let's Sarah, what do you got on your list? Because I also want to talk about Nathan, but I don't want to monopolize the list conversation here. So
Turing test.
you want to talk about the Turing test? Let's talk
That's
about
the
it.
whole thing. That's the
Yes.
whole like the reason he's there. And so like
Mhm.
it starts off with you think like, oh, we're supposed to test the robot.
Yeah.
You know, like can you detect that it's a robot, which is the traditional Turing test. And I liked that they kind of like went back and forth on like what actually is being tested, because
Yeah.
Nathan seemed to have a different idea about what should be tested than Caleb did.
So my question is, was the test ever about, and I mean, I don't know. I think Nathan kind of tells us, was the test ever about testing the robot? Like, was it about Caleb testing the robot? It doesn't seem to be.
It was about the robot testing Caleb, or
Yes.
not the robot testing Caleb, but Nathan testing Caleb based on the robot. Like,
Right. Will
their relationship.
So was the intention for Caleb to fall in love with Ava or just to sympathize with her?
I feel like the idea was, I'm sorry.
No,
Oh,
go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
I felt like the idea was to see if a robot can outsmart a human
Yeah.
by manipulation, by using,
Yes.
basically mimicking human emotion
Yeah.
well enough for him to fall to her trap.
And of course, Nathan didn't foresee that she would do it so well to the point where he would end up dead.
Absolutely. No, I think that now that you guys are saying this makes perfect sense to me, because I was kind of wondering in my mind, was the purpose to see if Caleb would fall in love with her? And I think Nathan is far too cynical for that. So I think it's definitely what you guys are saying, which is, and he pretty much spells this out, that he wanted to see if she could manipulate him into freeing her. And then due to the fact that he has such a God complex, he just did not see the potential of that becoming true.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. Let's talk. I'd like to talk about Nathan and Oster Isaac as well while we're talking about this. So Nathan, I think it's pretty clear how we all feel about Nathan, right?
Love him, want to marry him.
Oh my God.
I have daddy issues.
He's
He's
a
He's a
he's
psycho,
a utter douchebag, really.
Yeah.
In
Utter.
And I feel like they worked really hard to make Oscar Isaac not appealing because Oscar Isaac is a hot man.
I thought he was hot.
You thought he was hot?
I thought he was hot, yeah.
Ooh, I did
What,
not.
Did you not like the beard?
I feel like the beard to head ratio was at a point that was grotesque.
Seriously?
Yes, and I don't mean to knock.
You're married to a man who has
his beard is not like that.
Beard.
Yes, but his beard was like there was something aggressive. He had an aggressive beard.
An aggressive beard, yeah.
You know, I mean,
think it's the shaved head with the long beard.
Maybe it was the long johns. I don't know.
The big muscles and. Our introduction to him is him punching a bag,
which is
the second I see that, it's a turnoff for me.
It's such an alpha male move, and you know, Sarah, you know me. I like a man who will bend to my will. So
Same.
I like
it's
that
right.
too.
I'm glad I would high five you if I could, Ina.
I like both ways. No, I don't like. I don't like the Oscar Isaac punching.
Yeah,
I don't like that type of.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
You know,
I want balance.
Okay, in line with, and then I'm going to turn this over to somebody else. In line with the fact that this movie, as all good sci-fi movies should be, isn't just about robots. I feel like what this movie is really about is masculinity, and I think it represents the both sides of what we consider to be like the dichotomy of masculinity, which is Nathan, this like misogynistic, asshole, God complex, punching bag, drinking himself to sleep every night, the toxic masculinity. And yes, Caleb is soft and gentle and appealing, but in a way, he also is that image of
the savior
He has the savior complex. Like he underestimates her just like Nathan does. Like he's the white knight, right? Yes. So in a way, his masculinity is also flawed because he wants to swoop in and save the girl, but the girl doesn't need saving because she's already worked it out for herself. Anyway, that's one of the things that I think the movie really excels at is not just showing us like, ew, look at this disgusting bearded punching bag guy, but also like the flaw of underestimating just like femininity in general. And that's why it's so important that all the robots in this movie, they're all women. There's no male robots in this movie at all, which I think is
men creating whatever they can manipulate and they can control.
Exactly.
It has to be a female. He's not going to create a man that he's going to control. That's not going to.
But he could. Then he doesn't.
He could, but his needs are not that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And
although, frankly, if you're going to make a bunch of sex robots, why not make a bunch of different? I mean, make them all types. Give yourself some,
there are skinny models.
No, try some things out. You know what I'm saying? Like, why does it have to be like? Why? Like, you could have a turkey sandwich every day when you could have a buffet? I mean, you're building those robots. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe he only likes very specific types.
Well, it's boring. That's boring.
Model,
frankly, Nathan.
Tall, skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ina, what you got on your list?
I mean, I had an issue with why is it always a woman, a man creating a woman robot to fulfill his needs, Caleb.
Let's explore that a little more deeply. What do you think that is a flaw in the movie, or just like you want to see that less in movies, or let's find some more about that.
I felt like I've seen it.
Okay.
And it felt like a repetitive theme of I'm going to create something so I can control it. And that already made me feel like a little icky. Like,
I get that. I don't
know if like she's in that room, she's stuck in that room, she's a prisoner, and you can see how controlling he is. And then Kyoko?
Yeah, Kyoko, yeah.
That whole dynamic was like so painful to watch. Like the whole thing was really like triggering to me.
I get that. How long did it take you guys to figure out that Kyoko was a robot? Because I didn't figure it out
Until
first
the
time
end.
right away. Really? When she showed you that she was a robot?
Yeah.
I think maybe I'd figured it out before. The first time I saw it, I think I figured it out before he knew.
I feel like the dancing scene is when I started to question whether or not she was a robot.
Dancing scene, yes,
where they're all they're dancing together, and I was like, wait a minute.
It was when she started to unbutton. That's when I was like, oh, she's a robot.
God, that was so fucking upsetting. When Caleb goes in there and she starts to unbutton her shirt, and he's like, you don't have to do that. And I was like, oh, I can't. Yeah, it's it's so upsetting.
I guess my head went to people who buy brides and things like that.
And I think you were meant to think that.
Yeah. I mean, I thought she speaks English and she could understand everything. Mm-hmm. That from the beginning, it seemed like, because she was listening, right? So you can tell that she knows what's going on. But I somehow didn't click that she was a robot. Now that I think about it, clearly she was a robot.
And I
didn't. Yeah.
I have to wonder what else he did to, I want to say domesticate her, which I know is an awful thing to say, but I feel like that's what Nathan's thinking was. Because obviously we see, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but we see that the other versions of the androids are kind of scary and dangerous because when they get pent up in that room. And it seems like he's made her very docile. And also I have to wonder if he has removed her ability to speak.
That's what I was thinking. If he removed that ability because he didn't want her
talking and telling him her feelings.
Be able to say no, right?
Well, she did say stuff that hurts. She did say stuff to.
No, they communicated silently.
They did. I thought they
don't think she
turned
said
off the sound. I think that they was me music, and we were led to believe that they said something.
Ava and her communicate silently, and then Ava whispers in her ear, but I don't think Kyoko ever says anything.
Okay.
I don't remember her saying a word.
I think he disabled her ability to speak. But the thing that I think is cool is that later the robots are able to communicate with each other without words, really. And then she does whisper in her ear, but I think there is definitely.
What did she whisper?
Stab him.
I feel like she. We're getting towards the end. Let's put a pin in that. But yes, let's circle back to that because I definitely want to talk about it. Okay, Sarah, what else you got on your list?
Let's talk about the dancing.
Oh God,
I find that really interesting.
Okay, let's go to it.
So this is something that my mom thought. This was when we saw it in 2014. I thought it was the weirdest fucking thing. I was like, why do they have them dance? That doesn't belong in this film. That makes no sense. And well, think about it. They're not trapped. I mean, it's a self-imposed,
she's trapped
for him. They're both there together.
She's a slave. She's a robot slave.
But what are they going to do besides choreograph a dance?
Oh, I was thinking that too. Like, how long did Nathan spend on that dance with that robot?
But also, it made no sense because if you see him as a person, you cannot imagine that character sitting there and choreographing a dance with her. That felt very weird.
But Oscar Isaac can dance.
He can dance. I did enjoy that. Yes, that was one of the few moments where I didn't find. Well, I found the whole thing to be gross and repulsive, but for a second, I was enjoying. Look, first of all, Oscar Isaac. I think the acting in this movie is fucking great, amazing all across the board. But Oscar Isaac is revolting in this movie. I find him revolting. And the dancing made him kind of enjoyable for a second, but still revolting.
What was the point
of the dancing?
It didn't make sense with the character.
I think it was meant to psych him out.
I think so too.
What the fuck is happening?
I think it was just another way to control Caleb and make him feel. I think the reason that the dancing exists is I think exactly what you said, Sarah, and that is that he's stuck in that bunker and he's lonely. I think here's the thing. Nathan sees himself as a god. He wants to be a god. And he's very controlling, but I think he's also very lonely.
Yeah.
I think the subtext is that he's incredibly lonely in that bunker and doesn't actually know how to interact with real human beings. He created, what they said in the movie was that he created that search engine when he was 13 years old, which means he became a bajillionaire at the age of 13. He's got no family in that bunker. He's out there by himself with just him and his sex robots. And the way he talks to Caleb, even though he's trying to manipulate him, I feel like he's trying to force a male friendship that he doesn't have.
Yeah.
And he drinks himself to sleep every night. And I think he's just very lonely.
Yeah.
You didn't think the male friendship was him trying to
thought that
just
was,
gain
like,
his trust and it was fake?
manipulation too. I mean, like so psychopaths don't get lonely.
I
Like,
think he was lonely. I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that he is lonely, and I think the dance is one of those things. Seriously, I think that he's lonely, and it's like, in a way, Nathan is somewhat of a robot too. Like, Nathan isn't a robot, but emotionally he's a robot. He doesn't feel things like normal human beings. And what do human beings do for fun? They dance. What do human beings do for connection with another human being? They dance. And so he would program that robot to dance, and then he would dance with her, and it would be almost like he's a human with normal emotions.
That's so fucking sad, Nicole.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. I think that's
like
why he dances with her.
Mimicking human emotion to
Yes.
seem less psychotic.
Exactly.
Oof.
And I think when he says things to Caleb, like, I don't want to, like, when he says, he doesn't care what Caleb has to say about the Turing test. He has to listen long enough to keep up the ruse. But then he says things like, how did she make you feel? Or what do you think about her? Like, he needs the gratification.
How does she feel about you?
Exactly. And he's drinking beers with the guy, and like, I think
and we'll talk to him about the sciencey stuff. Like Caleb is like wanting to like learn about this, and he
brings him into the lab and shows him all the stuff. And I think I really think he's
faces.
Yeah, I think he's hungry for some kind of real relationship that isn't,
or have someone say like, you did a good job, or like, you spent your time well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So on my list, here's something I want to talk about. I would like to talk about the film's title, which is not something we do a lot on the show, but I really think I wanted to talk about that. So the title of the film is Ex Machina, right? And so immediately the theater nerd in me is thinking about the word Deus Ex Machina, right? Which we're all familiar with, God from the machine, right? That's what that means. And so there's two things there. There's that literally they talk about gods and godlike beings, right? So Nathan wants to be God, but really Ava, I think, and I really want to dig into my crazy theories here soon, but
go ahead. Yeah. It's fine.
So, all right. So let's put a pin in that. So God from the machine. So we've got literally God in the machine, right? But also, we've got the, of course, the actual, what it means, of course, is that in a movie or a play, specifically a Greek tragedy, that is when there's an unexpected plot twist at the end where some god literally comes out and rescues them from a bad situation.
Yeah. So it's so outside of Greek plays, it's kind of used in a derogatory, like, oh, it just felt like they just yanked some like quick fix at the end, and it didn't make sense, and it just.
But I want to read the definition I pulled from the internet, which is an unexpected power or event that saves a helpless situation. And so, a couple things. I think so. Here's crazy theory time. Okay. Number one, I didn't think about this very much the first time I watched it, but watching it the second time last night, I noticed the scars on Caleb's back. Which he says he was in a car accident and his parents were killed when he was 15, right? So that explains where the scars came from. But the scars on his back, and maybe this is because I've been watching Sabrina too much, were vertical scars down his back that almost looked like angel wings that had been clipped. That's what I thought of immediately. So then I'm thinking there's a reason why those scars look that way. So then I'm thinking, is Caleb supposed to be some kind of angel? And then, like, metaphorically, right? Like, not literally. And then I was thinking, well, this bunker that he lives in a way, is it like subterranean, like hell or the underworld, right?
Yeah. So like,
and then
Nathan is like
the devil.
The devil, yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
And then I think Caleb thinks that he is the Deus Ex Machina. He's the one who's going to swoop in and save her from the situation. but then ultimately she saves herself. And
that's why it's called Ex Machina, because it's the machine.
The machine. She is the god in the machine. And Nathan later says that later human beings are going to be looked at as apes, and the androids are going to be godlike creatures. And so in a way, it's like this is that coming to pass, that she is this godlike being that rises out of the subterranean hellhole, gets on the helicopter and rescues herself. Those are my crazy theories. Anyway.
Those aren't crazy.
No, that's really interesting.
So is there something to that, or am I reading too much into this?
No, for sure. I think that Nicole, I would like to hope that all filmmakers think as carefully about their films as you think about their films. Like,
I wonder if it's deeper.
A lot of times the stuff you come up with, like, it makes complete sense, but I find it hard to believe that anyone would put that much thought into it. I
just can't imagine that I have to think that a filmmaker who made such a very detailed film with very clear themes and such detailed set pieces had to have, because they're like Caleb's scars from the car accident could look like anything.
That's
why two vertical lines down his back? That seems like he's trying to get me to think about something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I didn't notice it as much the first time because I think I was trying to figure out what was going on. But this time I really picked up on it.
No, I definitely didn't even realize he had scars on his back.
I didn't see the scars. Yeah.
It's it's near not at the beginning, but after he's met Ava a couple times and he's gone and taken a shower and I remember because he was taking a shower and then he's shaving that's when you see him without the shirt on. Because I remember asking Chris, I was like, do you think he's like whacking it in the shower while he thinks about the robot?
That's what I thought we were going to see because we saw him in the shower and thinking about him. Like, isn't that what dudes do?
I would think so. I imagine that's what he was doing in there. I mean, what else? Maybe I'm glad they didn't feel like they needed to.
Yeah.
It was just not an HBO show.
Yeah. The shaving was uncomfortable to watch.
Oh yeah? Why do you think so?
The sound was so strong. It felt like he's about to like slice his face open.
So what did you think about the scene where he actually does cut his skin open?
Cut his wrist.
Yeah. I feel like I was like, bro, you didn't have to go that deep. That seems
that
like
was deep. That was.
Yeah, he didn't just slice his arm down the road. He also opened it
and tried to pull it apart.
Well, he thought he might be a robot. I mean, I kind of understand because I remember not this time because we knew he wasn't a robot, but the first time Chris and I watched it, we were like, "Is he maybe he is a robot?"
And then he didn't need any medical help. He just kind of bandaged it up and it was fine. It seemed like he needed stitches.
Yeah, that was a little surprising to me. That seemed like he would have bled to death.
Yeah. Yeah, at least passed out.
Yeah, that was intense. That was a lot of blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just kind of went from it like, okay, it's fine. I'll just wrap it up. It's all good now.
That scene made me very squirmy.
Yeah.
I felt very squirmy. But also I thought it was really fucking cool.
Yeah, I was like the special effects, the practical effects, whatever they did with that, it looked very, very believable.
And I think it answered a really important what I love about this movie is that it makes me ask questions after the movie's over, but not the wrong ones. Like I think I don't want to shit on Horse Girl, which is the movie that we watched last month, but I feel like that movie left me with a bunch of questions that I'm annoyed that I didn't get answered. Like I feel like I didn't want all that open-endedness.
Yeah.
I have a big question that pissed me off in this movie, but when we start talking about the end, I'll get to it.
Okay. So one of the questions that this movie decided to answer for us was Caleb is not an android.
Right.
And I'm glad that I knew that because it freed me up to process the rest of the events of the film rather than think about, is he a robot or isn't he? And I'm glad they cleared that up for me with that scene. Welcome to Plug It Up. This is the part of the show where ordinarily we would plug all the stuff that we're working on, but we're in fucking quarantine and nobody's doing shit. So, Ina, do you have anything to plug?
Stretchy pants, comfy clothes, slippers.
Yes.
Granny panties.
Yes, granny panties
And no bras.
Granny panties are the heroes of quarantine, to be honest. Nobody talks about it. No bras. Absolutely.
Oh, man. I've been doing all the cute bras.
Good for you.
Really?
Do what you got to do.
No.
I go to work, so I'll wear a bra then, but once I'm home.
The minute those video calls end, the bra's coming off.
Yeah.
You know?
Through the sleeve, of course. Make it sexy.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to make it sexy. Okay. Well, Ina, do you have any social media? Do you want people to follow you on social media? Do you have a handle you want people to follow? Find out about I didn't mention this in the intro, but yeah, you're also a visual artist, which I forgot to mention in the intro. You're making digital art and stuff, so
you can see semi-nudes of me, but they're in drawings. Ooh.
Yeah. So what's that Instagram handle? Hit us with that Instagram handle.
I should know it. Let's pretend there's not going to be a long pause here.
Oh, I'll cut it out.
And just seamlessly stop licking me. You're nasty.
She's talking to her dog.
Yes,
listeners.
Yes, not my boyfriend. He's in the other room.
It's a thirsty
why would I say stop?
It's a thirsty quarantine, but it's not that thirsty.
Thirsty quarantine. Apparently, it's VORINA 7. Real catchy.
That is very catchy. Well, we're all going to remember that. But follow Ina on Instagram. Check out some of her visual art, and once we get back to human life, perhaps I don't know where you might be able to see her in an improv show or something. Yeah. Sarah, do you have anything that you would like to plug?
I am writing a book right now, so buy it in like 2 years, I guess.
Buy it in 2 years, guys. Maybe sooner, because Sarah's really Sarah's cranking this book out like nobody's business. And she's been bringing it into our, it was a monthly writers group, but now we have nothing to fucking do. So we're doing a writers group every 2 weeks now. Yeah. Bi-weekly writers group. And Sarah's been bringing it in, and it's going to be fucking great, I have to say. It's going to be fucking great.
Thank you. Oh, doggy. Sorry.
Hello, doggy. So I do have a couple things to plug, as we do have some stuff that you can enjoy digitally during your quarantine times. If you want to check out, so of course this podcast is produced by Critical Crop Top. Critical Crop Top produces web content, podcasts, sketch comedy, all those sorts of things, and we have a YouTube channel. So of course you can find us on Critical Crop Top. Bleh. You can find Critical Crop Top on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Critical Crop Top, and we have a YouTube channel, Critical Crop Top, on YouTube, where you can find sketches that we've done, short films. I'm doing Tutorial Tuesdays, which every other Tuesday I'm putting out an editing tutorial. They're very short, little bite-sized tutorials you can learn about Premiere Pro. So if you want to learn some editing while you're in quarantine, I think I've got about 5 or 6 episodes up there now, so you can just breeze through that easy breezy in an afternoon. And of course, we'd love to hear from you about what you thought of Ex Machina. Do you like sci-fi? Are you a fan? Ina, shake your head. Do you like sci-fi? Are you a fan of robot sex dramas? Ina's giving a thumbs down.
Sex dramas.
Let us know what you think. You can find us, the Feminine Mistake Podcast, on Facebook and Instagram at Feminine Mistake Pod, and you can find us on Twitter at Fem Mistake Pod. And of course, you could subscribe to our show. We're on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean. You're listening to the show right now, so wherever you are, hit that subscribe. Just subscribe it. And maybe leave us a review or a rating. We'd appreciate it.
But only if you have something nice to say.
Yeah, if you don't have something nice to say, just shut the fuck up.
Right.
I mean,
go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. That's the best. That's the way to really reel people in. We're really making... I'm sorry. Quarantine has made me salty. I apologize.
Thirsty and salty.
Thirsty and salty. The salt and the thirst together. It's
so... Can't quench.
It's not... So please come back. This is only one part of a 2-part discussion of Ex Machina. So come back and join us as we continue our discussion of the 2014 film Ex Machina. What do you guys plan to do after the recording? What are you guys going to go do now?
I'm going to get more La Croix.
I'm going to get hella high.
Yes. I'm going to eat some tacos.
That sounds good. Yeah, probably
right.
dinner.